Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be doing a comparison video between two iconic LEGO train sets, the 7740 Intercity Passenger Train and the 7745 High-Speed City Express Passenger Train. Now I'm doing this comparison video because both of these trains were flagship sets of the gray era, and I think some people might have questions about the history of them and what's different about the two sets and ultimately which one they should buy if they can only buy one. So I'll get started with some of the history between these two sets. Alright, I'll start with 7740 because it was the earlier of the two sets. 7740 was released in 1980, so the start of the 12-volt era, and it was the flagship set for the first half of the gray era. So until the end of 1984 when it was discontinued, it was the flagship set. It was in all of the commercials, like the 1980 commercial and the 1983, the mail robbery commercial. This set was featured in both of them. This was the most expensive set of the gray era at the time as well, and when it was in shops. And it was just the train to have until the 7745 came out. This was the top of the line train. It had lights. It used the big 6x28 train base plates. It had two passenger wagons, could be upgraded with a 7815, 7819, and the design is just really nice. So it was the flagship set. The train was based off of the TEE, so Trans-Europe Express, more specifically the Rheingold model. The engine is the Rheingold, and then the wagons had the similar color scheme. In fact, like the dining car was the exact same. It's the exact same design with the pantograph and the stickers on it. So in general, just a really nice set to have. Now, this set was replaced in 1985 by the 7745, which is on the right. And that one was also a flagship set of the era. It was featured in several commercials. I think there was a commercial in 1989 or 91 starring the 7745 that is on YouTube. And this set is similar to the 7740 in a lot of ways. It's a big passenger train. It's got 3 of the 6x28 train base plates. It's got the engine and then the middle carriage and then the end carriage. And it also has a dining car as well. So this set was based off of the TGV, which was in France, and it was just like the 7740. It had lights, it was a big train, and it was a really great train to have. So although these two sets were very similar, they actually had some pretty important differences. So I'm going to start with the exterior differences. Alright, so let's take a look at the design of these two trains and compare them. The design, you'll see they actually have a lot of differences in them. So I'll start with the 7740. I'm filming this with my left hand, so I apologize if it's a little bit shaky. I'm not on the tripod. You can see the engine has this, the inverted slope design, and then it kind of comes back on the windshield, and I really like that design of the engine. You can also see the undercarriage of the engine. It's got the dummy motor and then the real motor back here to make it look pretty nice. It's also got these windows. These are rare windows only produced in this set. You can also see the two pantographs. These are the early brick-built style of the 80s, different from the 7745, as you'll see. The same pantograph design was used in the 7725, and then also some of the 7777 engines, so like the red electric crocodile engine. So I really like that pantograph design as well. You can see the roof pieces as well. The engine has some yellow roof slopes. These are rare slopes only for this set. And then you can also see in the engine it's got like the DB sticker on the front, which is also the same as 7745, and then it's got some other stickers with 7740 in the base plate, DB sticker, and then the first and second class. So I think the engine overall looks really nice for this set. You can even use it to pull a freight train if you want. So moving to the first passenger wagon, it's pretty simple on the outside. It's very basic. I'll go over the interior after I finish the exterior of both trains. So the exterior has just the 5 windows, the 2 doors in the end. The doors, of course, open, and then the standard kind of roof design of the early 80s. Then the last car, this is the dining car. Both of the wagons have kind of places for the minifigures to go through in between the wagons, but the end of the dining car does not have that. It's completely blocked off because at the end of the dining car is the chef's kitchen. You will see that when I open it up. And then it's got a pantograph on the roof to power the cooking equipment inside the car. This is the same as on the real TEE dining car. And it's got the dining car sticker and DB. Oh, and then also the passenger wagons have the city stickers on them. So this one's going Paris, Roma. You'll see it's different on the 7745. Alright, I think that's it for the 7740. Now moving to the 7745. So this is a little bit different. You can see that the engine and the last car are actually the same kind of design with the sloped front and back. because it's meant to be more like a streamlined train instead of the intercity train like the 7740 is. So this one has the sloped front with these new, the 3x6x1, the 3x6x1 sloped windscreens. It's got a cabinet on the side that actually houses red lights for the front. Of course, these lights also light up like the 7740. They're in light prisms because these are flagship sets. And then all of the doors in the 7745 have the DB 7745 stickers on them. You can see, also the bogies on the first and last cars are a little bit different. The ones in the front are kind of extended from the passenger wagons, but not the full length of the dummy motor bogies. And then you can see in the engine, the bogie here. I'll go over the engine compartments when I go to the interior. You can also see the pantograph on the roof has a different design than the early 80s one. This is actually on a hinge, so I can hinge up and down. You'll see I have the one folded down on the last car. And then on the top, it's got a speakerphone, maybe for the driver to announce when they're going to a station. The middle car is not exactly the same as 740 because you can see it has a rack actually in the middle of that window there. You can see the black spot in between those two windows, and there's some suitcases on the rack, which I think is pretty cool. Again, you've got the wire in the middle of the cars, which I don't like, but it does power the lights in the back of the train. And then, of course, the same design as 7740. Actually, a little bit different, but the same concept as the 7740 with the openings in between the wagons. And then you can see it's got the same kind of city stickers there, and then the DB 7745 in the doors. So it's a simple passenger wagon. The roof design is a little bit different. And then at the end, this is where you see a lot of differences. So this is the dining car. You can see it's got the fork and knife sticker on the window there. And inside, you'll see a chef's compartment when I go over the interior, and then some more windows. Also, the engine and the last wagon have this kind of sloped design on the windows, and I like that design. It makes it look very, very streamlined, very sleek. You can also see in the last car I folded the pantograph down, and it's got the same kind of speaker and the red lights and DB sticker on the back. So that's it for the external overview of the 7745. Alright, so now for the internal view. I've taken all of the external parts off, and you can see the internals. I'll just do a quick overview of the internals of the set because I did do reviews on both of these sets. I will leave links to them in the description if you're more interested in the specifics. So that engine is it's a pretty nice design. It's got the engine, like a fake engine block in the middle, and then caps at either end. You can also see the wires for the lighting bricks on either end. Now the passenger car, very simple, just 5 seats in the middle, and that's it. And then the dining car, you can see there's some specialized like seats and tables at this end, and then at the other end, the chef's compartments. The doors open right into his compartment. There's some counters. Now with the 7745, the front has these fake engine blocks again, and then also there's a compartment for the driver up front. This is one area where I think the 7745 beats the 7740 because these shutters in the sides can open up, and you can see the fake engine blocks. So that's pretty cool. And then the passenger wagon, so here's the luggage rack, and then it's also got a sink at the end. You can also see the wires that are running through to the lights. This wire in the passenger wagon goes under the seats. The middle wagon has some seats and tables, another wire connecting to the third wagon, and then the dining car has the same seat and table, but another chef's compartment at the end, and then it's got some cups as well. And then here's an empty driver's seat at the end. So that's the internals of both of the trains. Alright, I also want to go over the platforms, kind of the accessories that come with each set. In this case, it's just the small platforms. 7740 is very simple. This just attaches using the plates to the underside of the plastic rails. You can see those plates right there and there. And then the platform itself is it's pretty tall actually, and then it's got the a spare like conductor with the paddle and the green light on it, and then a bench with 3 seats and a standard timetable sticker that is also, I think, in 722 the station with all the trains and the times in it. So it's a very simple platform, but it's a nice detail. I like it. Now moving to the 7745, this platform is a little bit nicer, I think. It looks more modern. It's got kind of the slope at the end. I will say it's a pain in the butt to move around this platform because the plates are only attached to the bottom by a couple of studs, and they always break off, so you have to rebuild it. I think I dropped this platform on the floor once, and it just exploded. The pieces went everywhere, and I had to find all the pieces again. So it's fragile, but I think it looks a lot nicer, especially because it's got these lampposts. I've actually put lighting bricks in these lampposts a couple of times in past videos. So that looks pretty cool. And I like the design of the lampposts as well. They're a little bit similar to 7867, but also kind of different because they use these hinge pieces as well. And then just got a couple of minifigures and the second timetable. This is the later version of the timetable. I think they started production of this one in either 7824. I don't remember if it's 7824 actually. It was either this 7824 or they started in 1985 with this, and then they put it in 7715 as well. Anyways, you've got a spare conductor here as well, same as the 7740, and then they tell you to put some minifigures on the platform in the instructions. So it looks pretty good, I think. So yeah, that's the platform for 7745. It's a little bit more advanced than the 7740 platform, I would say, but they're very similar platforms. In terms of pricing between the two sets, they're very similar. They can usually be found for about $250 to $350 on the used market. 7745 will typically be a little bit less expensive a little bit less expensive without the box. So usually 7745 will start at about $250 with no box. 7740 will start at about $300 with no box. But the 7745, if you want a complete box in nice condition, that can get very expensive, $750, $800. Whereas 7740 kind of caps out at about $600, $650 if you want a complete box. So depending on if you want the box or not, if you don't want the box, then 7745 is cheaper. If you do want a box, then 7740 is going to be cheaper because the earlier style of boxes that 7740 had were more durable, so they're generally cheaper and more common to find today. Now, another category I'd like to mention is the compatibility with other sets. So that's like wagons and stations. Depots is kind of not applicable here because they're not freight trains, but in general, I would say that 7740 is a lot more compatible with other sets. And the reason why is it has no wires going through the train. The lights are completely in the engine. That means you can kind of take the wagons out and you can put them on other sets, or you can upgrade the set with the wagons meant specifically for the set, 7815, 7819, so the sleeper carriage and the covered postal wagon. And then you can also put the 7820 mail van at the end because that was released in 1980 as well and kind of meant for this train. It also goes well with the station set 7822. And in general, just looks a lot better when it's with other sets and other wagons. However, 7745 is absolutely not the same situation because of the wire going through the train and the lack of other sets at the time that kind of would go with the train. Like there was no club car or sleeper equivalent. Like the Metroliner in 1991, that was the 9-volt train. That was a 9-volt train. It had the club car, which is specifically an upgrade for that. And I've seen some people make club cars, like custom club cars for the 7745, but there were no official sets. So overall, the set is a lot less compatible with other sets. The color scheme of the wagons also does not match any other set because it was based out of the TGV again, and there were no other sets at the time with that scheme, that color scheme. It does go well with the station 7824, which was released in 1983 and was available at the time of release of this set. Other than that, it really doesn't go well with any other set. So in terms of compatibility, 7740 is definitely the winner in this category. It just generally goes well with a lot of other sets and will work with more wagons. The 7745 has no expansion options like 7740 does. So now the big question, if you can only buy one set, which one should you buy? I really hate to choose between these two sets. They're so great. They're both flagship sets. They're pretty much the top of the line of the 12-volt era. They have lights, they've got motors. You can put them on your layout and they will look fantastic. But if I had to choose one, I would have to say the 7740. And I really hate to diss the 7745 because it's a nice train. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that also love the 7745 as well, maybe more than the 7740. However, I think the 7740 just generally looks better on a layout. I really don't like the wire that's running through the train of the 7745. Because it always makes it derail, or the middle carriage will kind of tilt on points, and that's just super annoying. So that's a big point against it. Although, I mean, the lights in the back car look cool, but I don't think it's worth the price of the wire that's running through it. And the 7740, like, you can decouple the wagons. You can't do that with the 7745, again, because the wire running through it. And I think the 7740 overall, like the design, it looks nicer. The color scheme is very unique, whereas the black and the red of the 7745 is just very kind of standard for other trains. There are so many other black and red trains. I'm looking at my shelf of 12-volt trains, and the steam like all the steam engines are black and red. The 7755s black and red. 7810s black and red. The supplemental wagons are mostly black and red, some different colors, but it's the 7740 just kind of stands out more, which is why I think it is the better option if you can only get one. I would also say in general, they released more sets in the earlier part of the 1980s, and the earlier lineup of trains is a little bit nicer. Like the 1980 lineup was fantastic. Like, it was sad when they discontinued the 7760, 7750, but the early lineup was it was really nice. So the earlier trains, I think, are a little bit better in design than the later trains. And I think towards the end of the gray era, they kind of fell off in terms of designing. Like from 1986, there were no more sets. Nothing 1987, 88, 89, 90. And then the era just kind of died out after that. So I think the earlier 80s is just, I like that part more. And the 7740 really represents the early part of the 80s, where they were designing a whole bunch of new sets, the new ideas, the new remote control accessories. The set works really well with like the decoupler, where you can put extra wagons in. So that's why I think overall, if you have to pick between the two sets, I would go with 7740. It just generally represents the 80s a lot more than 7745. Now, I'm not saying 7745 is a bad set. It's a fantastic set, and I would 100% recommend it. It's practically a staple in every 12-volt collection. And that this video certainly shouldn't take away from that. But I would say if you have to choose between the two icons of the 12-volt era, I would go with 7740. So I think that wraps up the video for today. I know I did the haul of that was my last video of the 7815 sleeper carriage, and my next video is going to be a review on that. And then I've got, I think, a little bit more content planned, and then I can finally start to build a big layout. I've got some layouts planned. I may do a video actually on my plans that I've done on blue brick for those layouts. But yeah, soon I'll do a big layout, so you should expect that. Make sure to stay updated and subscribe if you want to see when I make my big layout. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.